Welcome everyone to our information session, which will be focused entirely on the I2N Pre-Accelerator with a little bit of info on our accelerator and incubator phases of our program. My name's Richard. I'm the manager of startup programs here at the uni, and I will be your facilitator through much of the Pre-Accelerator alongside three other facilitators that you will meet later on during the program should you progress through. I'm super excited to welcome you to this year's info session because we have put in a lot of effort and a lot of change into this year's program. As with every year, we take on participant feedback and we make changes to things that work better for future cohorts. And this year, I am super excited to be working with everybody in our idea workshop series and our pre-accelerator to get their idea to be the best it can be in time for our accelerator program. But before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Awabakal and Worimi people, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. This call's on Zoom. We're on a Zoom webinar, so you can't see yourself, you can't talk over your mic. You can see me and my colleague Kellen as well, but you can use the Q&A and chat function of the call. If you're new to webinars, if you're new to Zoom webinars, the Q&A function is at the bottom, or it's likely at the bottom of your screen. It's called Q&A. And if you click it, a window comes up where you can chuck in questions that come up throughout the call. Put them in at any time, no matter what the question is, what it's about, stick it in. And there's some parts in this call in about 20 minutes or so where we'll start looking at the Q&A window and answering your questions. Now, because this is an online event, there are no emergency exits. We are in your house or your office or wherever you find yourself. So hopefully you've got a warm drink, some food, maybe some lunch, and you're ready to jump into the info session around the pre-accelerator. For those who haven't heard about us, we are the I2N, or the Integrated Innovation Network. We're based in the University of Newcastle. We're a team within the uni, and we work with founders across our region, be it the Hunter region or the Central Coast region, to make sure that our innovation ecosystem is the best it can be for Australian startups. And our mission is to harness our region's unique resources to empower innovators like yourselves on this call to build high impact startups and ensure that what you do, the solution you build, gets into the hands of people who need it most. And in order to do that, we've set ourselves a couple of goals. One is to develop the entrepreneurial mindsets and enterprise skills of our students, our staff, and our community. And that community can be from anywhere they find themselves. They can be alumni of the uni, they've been students before. They can be members of our community. They can be I2N program participants or community members. It doesn't matter what that relationship is to the university. We can and will support you. We also work with our research community to increase the translation of publicly funded research into commercial outcomes. We call them spin-outs. And we also drive new venture creation and scale-up success through startups, companies that people create from really interesting and fun ideas to solve super valuable problems. And that's what we're going to focus on today, that spin-out and startup side of things. But this slide illustrates just how much and how far we stretch our impact across our regions. We've held a number of events since 2016, and we've had thousands of attendees attend where we are today in Q Building, but also in our previous hubs at Honeysuckle and Williamtown. We've impacted a number of businesses. We send out a newsletter every month talking about all the awesome things, not just we're doing, but our ecosystem is doing as a whole to push entrepreneurship forward. We have an I2N Slack community, and if you're not a part of that, I would definitely suggest after this call, jumping onto our website and clicking to join our Slack community. And finally, we have an incredible team of 54 mentors who lend their insight and hands to support founders like yourselves through our programs. But where the rubber hits the road for us is the impact outcomes that we have on our ecosystem. What are those economic development key milestones that we want to achieve? So the number of teams accelerated, we deeply care about. The number of people like yourselves that we can positively impact, that we can help bring their businesses to market is the thing that we care most about. And where you get on that spectrum of scale is really important as well. We want to see total funding raised, and startups associated who have gone through our programs have gone on to raise over 60 million in venture capital funding. They've generated tens of millions of dollars in revenue, and with that revenue and funding, they've paid their employee salaries, not themselves as founders, but their employees, over $16 million in salaries. They've created not 2 new jobs, it's actually 265 plus new jobs. And they've done over 564 engagements with students, be that in career-ready placements, internships, or just volunteer arrangements. And finally, a number of our startups file patents and protect the valuable IP that they generate. And they've gone on to file 25 patents over time. And here's just a cross-section of the founders that we've supported through our programs, be it our pre-accelerator, our accelerator, our incubator program, and our mentor program. We've supported them all in some way, shape, or form. And those founders are based right here where I'm talking to you from today, from I2N Hub at Honeysuckle. You may have seen our big square glass building down the main street of Honeysuckle. That's where we're based. And each floor of the building has some sort of role to play in the support of entrepreneurs and problem solvers like yourself. So we've got a number of desks throughout the building that people can work from. For example, from the ground floor, you can come in at any time, Monday to Friday in business hours, pull up a seat on the ground floor in the Innovation Common and work for free. And you can come and see an I2N team member like myself or Kellen and ask us all the questions you have about what it is that you're doing, how we can help, and how we can make that relationship work. There's a really great on-site cafe called Darks where they serve excellent coffee to fuel you through your day. End-of-ride facilities, bring your bike and lock it up. There's also showers in case it's a hot day. We have a makerspace. We have loads of events we run from the building across our team and our pre-startups team in the I2N. And we have a seminar space where we deliver our programs like our pre-accelerator and our accelerator. But we couldn't do this without the partnerships that we've formed over the years. So first and foremost, we are eternally thankful for the relationship we share with Davies Collison Cave. Lauren and her team support our founders year on year to help them identify the most valuable assets within their business, their IP, and how they can protect them either today or in the future, depending on the circumstances. And for the longest time, the New South Wales government has supported I2N programs through the creation of our hubs, the co-funding of our hubs, the co-funding of programs, the resources and contacts that we get through that government network, through Investment New South Wales and Regional New South Wales to deliver on the impact programs that we create. And also our Trailblazer partners, the Trailblazer for the Recycling Clean Energy program, they're based here at the university and they are supporting our clean tech stream within the pre-accelerator and accelerator. And they have a number of opportunities for founders in that stream to work with researchers, to co-fund product design, to validate the way in which your widget, your service, your product can engage with the market. And they cannot wait to work with each of the founders in the clean tech stream throughout the pre-accelerator and accelerator. And finally, our friends at the Central Coast Health and Wellbeing Living Lab down on Gosford. This year is our inaugural year of our health tech stream. So anyone here building services or products that can support people in a way that helps their longevity, that helps their aging at home, aging in place, that helps them address disease, address sickness, address illness, any sort of devices, whatever you're creating, we can help you. And our friends at the Central Coast are here to ensure that your product development and your validation with your end customer can be the best that it can be. And like our partners at the Trailblazer, they have a number of funding programs that they can help you with as part of your participation in the I2N Pre-Accelerator and Accelerator. So huge thank you to all of our partners and also our perk partners. We wouldn't be an incubator or an accelerator program without a number of perk partners that you can jump on and use should you make it into our programs. But we're all here to learn about the pre-accelerator. So enough about us. Let's talk about the program. Who's it best for? Who does it fit? And what do you actually get out of it should you take part? So if you're sitting here and wondering, is this for me? Is this the right time, the right place? The answer is probably yes. And so we'll go line by line and you can self-select on any of these. And don't forget to use, as we get through this content, use the Q&A section of our call. So if you're headquartered or plan to be headquartered in the Hunter or Central Coast region, you're a fit. We're also looking for teams or individual founders. It does not matter whether you come to us on your own or with a group of people who are trying to push your solution forward. We'd love to work with you if you're building innovative tech-enabled products or services. And if you're ambitious, you're ready to scale, you want as many people in the world, not just in Australia, to be impacted by your ideas. You're ready with some time to fully commit to weekly workshops. That's 1 day a week, plus coaching sessions that can be done at a time that's best for you and your coach. You're eager to learn, you want to apply your knowledge to your solution and to your market, and you're open to taking feedback, constant feedback on that improvement process. And you're interested in joining our all industries, our industry agnostic stream, or our clean tech stream, or our health tech stream accelerators in later 2025. The pre-accelerator is the best first step or the best next step you can take to getting on that founder journey and getting your product into the market or into the next set of market participants. And finally, your pre-Series A stage. You're an early stage startup, an early stage founder. You could be at the idea genesis. You've had it on the back of a napkin, and that's about as far as you've gone. That's perfect. Or you've got a couple of people around you, and you're starting to validate in the market and doing research and maybe even building a prototype or an MVP. Also perfect. We'd love to help you on your journey. And the objectives for us to deliver to you as the problem solver and founder is to impact and improve your customer readiness, making sure that the problem and needs are confirmed. And you've got several customers identified with a segment plan in place. You know who you're trying to impact and where they live, what they do, and how you can best get it in their hands. Your business, your venture, your team have improved their readiness in their ability to deliver to market. So there's a draft of your business model canvas, which we'll do during the pre-accelerator. There's a format, there's the competitive analysis and ecosystem analysis that we do in the idea workshops and the pre-accelerator. And we do some rough back of napkin economic viability analysis as part of the pre-accelerator. We work with you and our partners at Davies, Collison Cave on your intellectual property readiness. We make sure that there's a plan so that when the time is right and you are ready, that you know what to protect and when to protect it and with which instruments that you can protect your IP with. We work with your team so that if there's make sure there's a champion or a driver, probably you on the call or a colleague, who move the idea forward, who don't let anything stop. And also, you may or may not have a team. And if you don't have a team or you do have a team, we work on what the gaps are in that team. What do you need to fill? What's your next hire, your first hire? How do you partner with someone, outsource something in order to get that gap addressed? And we do a lot of that in our boot camp. We look at your technology readiness. What's the product or service and how developed is it? Is it lo-fi? Is it a demo, which is great? Or is it in the environment? Is it being simulated with people? Are they using it? Are they giving you feedback? Where are you on that journey and how can we help you on the next step? We have a number of facilitators waiting in the wings in the pre-accelerator, ready to help you on that technology readiness level journey. And finally, the funding readiness. We ensure that you have a succinct pitch, be it an elevator pitch or a 3-minute on-stage demo of the business concept that you're building and a draft plan for how the venture may be funded in the future through a mixture of potentially investment from government through the form of grant and non-dilutive funding, investment from investors, be them angel investors, friends and family, venture capital firms, what may have you. We also look at the idea of a not-for-profit or a high impact venture and have the alternative funding models that we can use there as well. We ensure by the end of, at the very least, the boot camp, you have all of those things in place so that you can enter the accelerator with your best foot forward. And that roadmap, I'm talking about a few programs here, not just the pre-accelerator, but that roadmap stretches all of 2025. So right now, we find ourselves in the application phase. We have things like our info session, which you're all tuning into now. We have our idea workshops, which we'll talk about in a second to help make sure your application is the best it can be. Then we move into the pre-accelerator phase up until the end of June. And at the end of June, everyone has an opportunity to take part in the boot camp. It's another competitive breakpoint where we make a selection on the top 20 teams in the pre-accelerator and those who apply externally to come and join us at boot camp, where you'll meet with 20 plus investors and 20 plus experts in your industry to work with you for a two-day intensive period to get you ready and to assess you for the accelerator, because it's not us, but it's actually the investors and experts at boot camp who select the 10 teams who make it through to the accelerator for 2025. And those 10 teams it could be 12, those 10 to 12 teams will be selected for our all industries cohort, our clean tech cohort, and our health tech cohort. And finally, we work with you and our mentors kick into our incubator phase where you enter our mentor program, headed up by Kellen. And we work with you hand in hand, month on month, to make sure that after your accelerator learning, you can get your venture scaling and selling fast. So what is the application phase? What's involved right now in the next 2 months? Well, so it's going to go for 9 weeks. We're a couple of weeks into that now. Apps opened at the end of January. And we run 4 workshops. And those workshops center around the jobs to be done, so the things your customer cares about, the value proposition design, and how you communicate what it is that you're doing to a market, ecosystem mapping, who's there, who are you competing with, how are you better, and finally, business experiments. What things can you do, lo-fi things, easy things, cheap things can you do to find out, to learn, to help your customers, your end users, your beneficiaries, help guide your product or service development so that you can make sure you're building something that people actually care about. And for that entire time till the end of March, because apps close on the 30th of March, you'll be able to book a time with me via my Calendly for one-on-one application support. If it's not me, it might be one of my colleagues on the team. And as I mentioned before, you can come into the building both as part of the workshops that we offer and in your own time to work from the ground floor called the Innovation Common. Get free Wi-Fi, access the cafe, you can ride in, walk in, bus in, drive in, however you want to get here, and work for free from the ground floor with access to meeting rooms and the expertise of the I2N team as well. So each of these things happen face-to-face, be it an idea workshop or co-working from the space. They happen face-to-face here in the building, in Q Building. One-on-one application support will happen on Zoom, just booked into my calendar and a call like we're doing today. The pre-accelerator phase. So once we get to the apps close phase at the end of March, we'll close our applications and we'll make a selection and we'll choose up to 30 teams. Now, a new addition to this year in relation to previous years is that we're not just delivering here in Newcastle, we're also delivering this program in Gosford, and the content is exactly the same. It's just a change of day. So on a Wednesday, starting the 28th of April, we'll deliver this content from week 1 to 10, which you can see on the screen, in Newcastle from our building here in Honeysuckle. And in Gosford, the next day, on Thursday, the 29th of April, and for every week thereafter until the 3rd of July, we'll be delivering the same program down with our friends at the Central Coast Health and Wellbeing Living Lab. Now, it does not matter which stream you are aiming to take part in or what the background of your idea is, whether you're an all industries tech agnostic person, whether you've got a clean tech solution, or whether you're solving problems in the health tech space. It does not matter where you choose to join us from, Newcastle or Gosford. And when you're submitting your application, we very clearly ask you where you would prefer to join us from, Newcastle or Gosford. We want to make accessibility as easy as possible for everyone in the region, across our regions. But as you can see from the slide, the content that we're working on week is a deeper version of what we're working on in the idea workshop. So we're looking at your immersion, your onboarding, your goal setting, your meeting of all the facilitators and people associated with the program. Then we look into customer discovery, talking to people, helping you to understand what they actually think so you can build things that matter. What your ecosystem looks like, what your competitive analysis looks like, what your value proposition sounds like, and how your product works and how you can experiment on that product and on that market to get the best insights possible. We bring in facilitators to help you bring your software or hardware solution to life. Maybe it's just an idea and you need to understand some UI, UX concepts, how wireframing works. We have the right people in place to help you do that. Maybe you've got some IP that's wrapped up in a box, in a metal or plastic box, and you need to understand how to manufacture that, how to build prototypes for that. We have people here ready to go to help you scope out what that work looks like and what the best pathway is for you to build that thing. We then look at stream-specific content. So we get people in for each of the streams, clean tech, health tech, or tech agnostic learning, to give you examples of what they've done in the past, to help to hear your problems and give you solutions that you can take to the market or to your team. We work with our IP and governance facilitators to come in and talk about how you protect your IP, how you create your company, what's the structure that you consider, all the people that are involved in that decision-making process, all the risks that are involved in that decision-making process. We bring them in to help you learn. Then we talk about communicating insights, entering all of this into another application for the accelerator, but also how you communicate those insights to your team, or how you use those insights to better formulate or impact your value proposition. What's the headline thing that you put on your website that's usually language that comes from the learnings you get from your customer and your work with your product. We then bring in more stream-specific content, and we run an optional health tech showcase down on Gosford for our friends in the Central Coast Health and Wellbeing Living Lab and the LHD, our partners at the local health district. They're there to hear from our health tech founders and what they're creating, the awesome things that they're creating. And finally, in week 10, we do a program reflection and a final application check-in. for the accelerator and for the bootcamp. Inclusions in the program include weekly coaching from your entrepreneur residents. We bring in an expert who's done all these things before and is here to help you, guide you week on week with what your goals are and what your achievements are and how you can best or shortcut yourself to those outcomes that you want. You get access to those perk partners that I mentioned before, the Microsoft for Startups programs, the Stripe discounts, all the other perk discounts that you get access to. And also you get co-working from the Innovation Common. You get access to the building in times that you need it. This program is built for anyone building anything, so long as it satisfies those points that I made before, that you're ambitious, you're willing to learn, you can take feedback, you want to scale, there's some tech behind it, you've got some ideas around that product or service that can help get that thing into the market. But mostly you're here to learn and build. That's what we want to impact, and that's what the program is designed for. So I'm sure all of you on the call satisfy all of that. You're here today, aren't you, right? Now, what's a day look like in this program? Here's an example of week one. You get in, the date might be the 19th of May, might be in April, but you're in on the day in the building, be it Gosford or Newcastle. We kick off at 9 a.m. sharp, and we start with whatever that week's learning is. For the week one, it's all about gaddy pitching and goal setting, getting you to communicate what you're doing to the rest of the room and get you comfortable up in front of people and communicating the things that you care deeply about. And also some goal setting. What do you want to achieve in 10 weeks? It seems like a long time at the start, but it'll go very quickly. So what outcomes do you want for you, for your idea, for your team, in the program, whatever that may be? We help you put that on paper and set actionable tasks that we can actually achieve in that time. We have lunch. Sometimes we have a guest once or twice, but usually it's just lunch for you to decompress, get what you need. Maybe you need to get some emailing done. We all live lives outside of this program, so we need to make time for that. And then in the afternoon session, we have another topic. In week one, it might be ecosystem mapping. So we look at your competitor analysis, who's there, what do they do, what's the value flow between them, how do you get to these people to talk to them to understand what it is that they do in their day-to-day and what their strategies are looking forward. And we do that for all afternoon up until between 4 and 5. And the outcomes that you get by taking part in the Pre-Accelerator is structured growth and a heightened focus on what it is that actually matters. You get to leverage the experience that you're having with your fellow cohort members. There's people in the room who are solving problems so different to you, but it turns out many of the things that they've got to deal with, the roadblocks, are really similar, and it's important to share that amongst the group. You progress your idea, because many of you are coming to us with ideas, towards relevance and value. We help you identify the critical parts that help get you to MVP or next prototype. And you can effectively communicate what it is that you're doing, what problem you're solving, and who actually gains from that solution. And finally, those readiness levels that I opened with, we help you address each of those through the program to get you venture ready, to get you product ready, to get you customer ready, and just to get you in all ready for the accelerator and for startup business life. And finally, you each get what you put in. If you turn up, do the content in the day, and there's no thinking of it afterwards, there's only so much value you're going to get in this program. But if you turn up, absorb everything like a sponge, and then go out and do some of the homework through the week, those couple of hours extra through the week, you get so much more value from a cohort-based program like this. So I'm going to ask, now's the time to chuck questions in the Q&A. Maybe there's something burning in the back of your mind and you're not sure whether it's appropriate for the Q&A, just throw it in, we'll answer it. And for those who are unsure, don't have a question yet, I'm going to show you a video of last year's cohort. They're at the end of the year. They've gone through the Pre-Accelerator, the boot camp. They've gone through the accelerator program and everything involved in that. And it's the last day, the last week of their program. And they're reflecting on their experience to you, because this is an option for everybody on the call.
The last 12 weeks in the accelerator has been a mixed bag of emotions. It has been overwhelming, exciting, honestly a roller coaster. It's also been magical. To look at where we came when we first started to now, a lot has happened and it's incredible.
Everything about it has been so amazing and informative.
I've really enjoyed everyone that they've brought in to teach us things from negotiation to just even the accounting side of things.
We've formed amazing connections with fellow entrepreneurs and investors and other mentors.
I'm just super proud to be part of a movement toward a sustainable future, and meeting other people working in that space is really great. It's really affirming.
Our proudest achievement from the last 12 weeks, gosh, we've managed to do quite a bit. So I think launching our first version of Adios has been amazing.
I've been really proud of you.
I'm
really proud of us.
My proudest achievement from the last 12 weeks is building up my pitching skills, starting to talk to investors and bringing in a first signed term sheet for investment for some preliminary work on the company.
Our technology got validated by the university, and also we got potential clients as well. We also outgrown the university lab and moved into our own workshop. So that's a great achievement for us.
One of the greatest things that we've learned about ourselves, particularly being here at I2N and Newcastle, is that we can be ourselves. We can be a married couple, 36 weeks pregnant. For us, it's quite refreshing.
Entrepreneurship can be incredibly isolating, so having a place where the university supports you is incredible.
Got a one university town, they're incredibly networked, provide lots and lots of contacts, and really provide that bridge between researchers, entrepreneurs, the university and community.
You cannot get to connect to such influential and pivotal people if you're just doing it on your own. And I think the uni gives you that greater network and connectivity to the bigger market.
For anyone who wants to dive into entrepreneurship, you just got to do it. And then when you do decide to do it, come and see us at the University of Newcastle. The I2N has so much support on offer, and we're here to help you move from idea generation through to complete and total execution and commercialization journey. We'll do it all. Come see us.
All right, I'm going to stop the share for just a second and be instantly thrown back to 2024. That was a huge roller coaster, that program. I'm going to jump into the Q&A and answer a couple of questions that have come through. Sandy's asked a great question. Does it need to be 100% tech enabled? The answer is no. It needs to be, you need to have ambition to scale. Tech enablement is one way to do that, but it's not the only way. And we'll help you find ways of doing that in the ID workshops and the pre-accelerator. Hopefully that answers your question, but if not, just as an aside for everybody, my Calendly link, so my meeting booking link is listed on our pre-accelerator website. Just scroll down to the bottom if you want to ask any extra questions in the FAQ. There you can book 20 minutes with myself or a colleague to chat about questions like this, because Sandy's asked a perfect question. And yet, no, you don't have to be 100% tech enabled. You have to have that ambition to scale and learn. Amy has asked, are social enterprise startups supported? Yeah, absolutely. We've had a number in the past. A number of people whose funding methodology or funding roadmap is very different to your typical venture-backed or bootstrapping company. But we do always try to bring it back to sustainability of the idea. We look at the value proposition and how that matches the market, but we also look at what the rationality is for your business model. How do you get money in? How do you use that money to create extra value? That extra value does not have to be financial. It's impactful as well. As a social enterprise, you're trying to maximize for impact, but you need to have some sort of sustainable model or an engine underneath that. And we work hand in hand with you, myself, our entrepreneur residents, my team, and our facilitators, help you try to understand and unravel that with tools and templates and examples that they've used in the past. We also get office hours with experts who can help you with this as well. So yeah, totally open to social enterprise startups. We just need to work with you to find what that sustainability looks like. Amy's asked another great question. I'm keen to understand more about the all industry stream, what you mean by tech enabled. So all industries, so we have 3 streams. 2 of those streams are themed around an industry or a group of industries. One of them is clean tech, which is things like energy, clean water, sustainability, things that come to mind typically when you think of clean tech, clean energy, and greener technologies. We also have health tech, which is another broad and on purpose theme that we have, or stream that we have in our program. So that can include devices, therapeutics, solutions, lifestyle changes, any sort of implication that you can have on a group of people, a cohort of people, in a way that improves them on one or more health tech metric or health metric. And the tech-enabled piece means, I think what I mentioned before, we are looking to impact a large group of people. And traditionally, we use tech to do that. It's not the only solution that we have at our fingertips, but it's one of them. And so when we're in the pre-accelerator, you may not have the answer to that yet, and we'll help you find that. What can we use to amplify your impact? I hope that answers your question. Someone's come at us, an anonymous attendee. I'm off campus. Is there a capacity to draw on this expertise if we cannot attend face-to-face? This is a really good point. We can try and make it work for people who can make most of the sessions, but if you're completely off campus and out of the region or very far away, or your life at this point just does not make it easy for you to attend face-to-face sessions, it's really hard for us to deliver the program in a way that is meant for people at the early stage of their business journey. We need to be face-to-face. We need to be having meetings with you. You need to be meeting the cohort and taking part in all of the extra activities and extra bonuses that are associated with a program like this. So we've designed the program to be delivered and for the maximum amount of impact or value to be gained by participants by being here face-to-face. So happy to have a chat with you over a 20-minute call. Just book a time on my calendar to pull out the nuance of this situation you're in to see if we can actually include you, because we would love to have as many people, irrespective of their circumstances, in the program. David has asked a great question. Will Gosford be on a Tuesday or a Thursday? If there was a miscommunication in a slide, I'm sorry, but it's a Thursday. So it'll be at Newcastle on a Wednesday is program day for Newcastle, and program day for our Gosford friends is Thursday. And our next question from Michael is, are there any costs associated with the pre-accelerator if you're accepted? You know what? There's none. Well, there is a cost. It's your time, but there's no paying upfront. There's no money exchanged. The university is a one university city. We heard that in the video just before. We have a mission to support our regions. We have the Central Coast, the Hunter region, Port Stephens. We have a mission to ensure that people have equitable access to the programs and services that we offer. And there's a lot of things that the university does in our region, but one of those things is entrepreneurship and enterprise skill development, and that's what we do. And we do it. We do it for everybody, irrespective of their link or relationship to the university, whether they're affiliated or not, and we don't charge. Our next question is from Taylor. Thank you, Taylor. Am I able to just apply for the accelerator program, or do I have to be part of the pre-accelerator first? This is a great distinction. Right now, we're in the apps open phase of the pre-accelerator. There may be some people on this call or people who read our webpage and hear about our program who are just a little bit more further ahead than people at the idea stage or the early MVP stage. They may have some customers, some early customers. They may have some deals in the pipeline. They may be a research-based or an IP, a deep tech solution, and they're in the lab and they're making good progress in the lab with some grant funding. And the pre-accelerator is just not quite right for them. That's fine. Applications for our accelerator, and I'll talk about this in just a second as we close out the call, application for our accelerator program will open the day the pre-accelerator starts. So the campaign will happen in about 2 months. What that means is you're not taking part in the pre-accelerator, but like everybody else right now, you can book calls with us, that's the I2N team, with a few other people to ask about the circumstances you find yourself in and how you can best submit an application for the accelerator. So that's a long-winded answer, a long way of answering to say, no, you don't have to take part in the pre-accelerator if your sophistication level is just that little bit more. We'd love to help you later on in the accelerator. Everybody has to take part in the bootcamp to get to be selected for the accelerator. Simon has asked, should the technology have passed feasibility studies with successful results, especially sustainable projects? I think we can help you with some of that feasibility. So we work on three different, what would you say, three different aspects of a solution. We look at the feasibility, that's one thing, whether this thing makes sense. We look at viability, whether there's a market out there and whether there's people out there who have the capacity to pay for this thing. And we look at desirability. Is there a group of people that actually want this? So feasibility is something we can look at, but it really depends on the type of feasibility study that you're talking about. So we'll look at feasibility from the perspective of, can we build this? And is there a market in the viability side? So we'll help you with part of that, but maybe book a time or send me an email, book a time account or send me an email with a bit more color to the question that you've asked so I can properly answer that one. Julie, great to see you, Julie. Thanks for coming to the call. What hours would you recommend putting in outside of the course to make this as successful as possible? So we want you in the room on the day, on program day, on Wednesday or Thursday, for about 8 hours, from 9 till 4 or 5, depending on the day, depending on the week's content, sorry. And then you'll meet with your entrepreneur in residence for about 30 odd minutes extra at a time that suits you, your fellow founders, and your EIR, your entrepreneur in residence, at another time. It could be at the end of the day. It could be on the Thursday or the Friday or the Monday or the Tuesday. It could be another day. Then you'll also be set some homework alongside your entrepreneur in residence, and also just on the day. Think you're like, okay, I've learned this thing. I need to go and apply this learning to my value proposition canvas or to my business model canvas, or I need to go and ask this question of this particular stakeholder. That might take you 30 minutes and that might take you 3 hours, but there are going to be some number of hours, probably up to 8 or 10 extra hours every week that you can spread out across your calendar to do some work for that week. And that timing undulates. Some of it's more and less. As we get to the end of the program, it increases a little bit because you're also putting in an application for bootcamp and the accelerator. But expect to do another 8 or so hours extra on top of the content hours in the program. Chelsea's asked the question, hi, I have a digital health education business. That's awesome. That's in its infancy and I want to grow. Also awesome. Am I best to attend at Central Coast, or will I have the same experience in Newcastle? You will have the same experience in Newcastle as you will on the Central Coast, and you'll have the same experience on the Central Coast as you will in Newcastle. The content delivery is the same. The program is the same. It's just a different location. So it's a different room. Q Building, where we are today in the hub, has its seminar space. And at the CCLL, at the Living Lab, they have a couple of different teaching and learning rooms that we use there. That's the only difference. And, hopefully it's easy. If you choose to learn, to take part in Gosford, I hope that it's easy for you to get to Gosford. I hope that makes it easier for you. If you choose to take part in Newcastle, I hope that this is an easy choice for you. It's easier for you to take part in Newcastle than Gosford. That's the real distinction that we have between the two places. However, our program partner from the Health and Wellbeing Living Lab are based on the Central Coast. So if you do take part in the program in the health tech stream, there's going to be a lot of support for you on the Central Coasts. Much of that can be delivered, depending on where you're based, much of that can be delivered virtually, but there's going to be a whole bunch of value there face to face. So consider that too. Someone's asked anonymously, we have an idea that is novel health promotion products. That's awesome. It might not be in the tech category, but is a novel design with the intention to scale. Will it be suitable? Yes, it would be suitable. And we'll look at what those scaling aspects could be. Could be tech enabled, might be something else, but we'll figure that out in the program and in our idea workshop series as well. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, I've answered 12 questions. Thank you so much to everyone who's thrown one in. If you have any more, keep them coming. We're just going to finish off our presentation in the last of our information session before we wrap up the call. So just to talk about the accelerator phase itself, you've learned all about the experience of our alumni in 2024 throughout the program, but this is what's actually in it. There's a 2-day bootcamp in July, and of the 20 teams that are selected for bootcamp, 10 to 12 will be asked to progress into the accelerator. And we'll focus on, in the accelerator, things like storytelling, go-to-market, branding, marketing research, sales, negotiation, term sheet negotiation, selling of your product or service, how to pitch, how to build a pitch deck, how to build a narrative around that pitch deck, and then how to perform that pitch in front of a group of people, be them investors, be them first or next hires, be them partners or customers, whatever the audience, we help you perform best. We look at grants, non-dilutive funding methods that you can use as a startup, and then what the classification of an early stage investment company or an EC company actually is and how that can benefit you. We look at leadership. We look at culture and hiring. We do offsites. We bring people onto site to talk to you about their experience in their venture. There's a huge community of founders who are just waiting to help you here in Newcastle on the Central Coast. And we look at financial modeling and that rationalization of why you're doing what you do and how you can create a market and use the market to sustain that business model. And as part of your participation in the program, you get weekly coaching, again, from an entrepreneur residence, except rather than getting half an hour, you get an hour with them each week. You also have a dedicated mentor assigned to you who has some sort of alignment to you or your solution or your market, and they can help you achieve your goals quicker. They can unblock you. You get AMAs or Ask Me Anythings with founders. So lunchtime events, morning events, afternoon events with people who have been there, done it before, and are here to share some expertise and some insight with you, help you shortcut that next barrier. You will get to pitch to so many investors as part of this program, be them the government. So we have organizations or government organizations like the state government, ARENA, the federal government, industry growth program, grant funding programs, investors, VCs, angels, all of them. They're all here to see you and see how they can help you as well. You get access to our I2N perk partners as always. And once you make it through to the accelerator, you get dedicated co-working in level 3 upstairs, where it's swipe card access only for members of the hub. So you become a member of the incubator and you gain everything associated with that. I'm going to quickly see if there's any more questions in the Q&A before we sign off. I believe we do. No open questions yet. Okay. If you have any more questions, you have about 5 minutes to chuck them in. But for those who are wondering what the application requirements are, you have to be or plan to be based in the Central Coast. So maybe you're not in the region right now, but should you make it into the program, you can be based here. Let us know that. That's okay. You have 1 to 3 committed founders. So you're a solo founder, totally fine. Or you've got a small team around you, also great. You're building an innovative tech-enabled product or service, and you have the ambition to scale, be that with tech or without, will help you identify what that could be. You can fully commit to weekly workshops and coaching sessions, be them the learning days in Gosford or Newcastle, or the times with your EIR or coach. You're eager to learn and you're open to feedback. You're going to be getting a lot of info, a lot of advice from people, and you can filter that and take it on as you need to. And you're interested in joining us throughout the year, throughout all industries, our clean tech or our health tech accelerator streams. And you're an early stage founder. You're at pre-series A. You're bootstrapping. You've got a small amount of investment, or you've just got a back of napkin idea. We're here to help all of you in any of the above. The application process includes 1, taking part in any one or more of the ID workshops. And Sandy's asked a great question. Are there ID workshops only face-to-face? Yes, they are face-to-face here in Newcastle. We will be delivering 1 more in Gosford, and we'll push that out as of tomorrow. But there'll be a workshop delivered in Gosford face-to-face as well, with just 1. The rest of them, all 4, will be delivered here in I2N Hub Honeysuckle in Newcastle. You have to complete a draft, or you don't have to, but it would be good if you complete your draft application. The application window works in such a way where once you open up the Airtable form, it's a web form, and you start entering things in, it doesn't save. So if you walk away from the screen and your computer shuts down or it just stops for whatever reason, you may lose all that information. So we suggest downloading the template, the form template, which has all the same questions in it, and just answering those questions one by one in advance of submitting your application, because you can just copy paste your answers over. And as part of your application for the pre-accelerator, we also ask that you record a 3-minute video, a video like I'm doing right now on Zoom. Maybe you set your phone up and you record yourself. Does not have to be produced well. It's just a raw video like I'm coming at you right now. And you're answering these questions, these 5 questions. Who you are, what your name is, what the problem is that you're solving, and what's the potential solution you have to solve that problem. What's that product or service look like? How does it work? What are your customers, and who are your customers and end users? Who uses the product versus who's the customer? There's a difference between those two that we talk about in our ID workshops. And why are you and your team in the best position to solve this? What expertise or experience or passion do you have and does your team have that makes you unstoppable when it comes to solving this problem? And you have to answer all those in 3 minutes, which you totally can do. And then when you're ready, when you've got your 3-minute video recorded and saved, When you've got your draft application completed, go into the Airtable form, which is the link on our Pre-Accelerator website and that you'll see in the chat below, and then start filling it out and submit. And you have until midnight, so think of it as 11:59 p.m. Sunday, the 30th of March. I believe it's a Sunday. It's the 30th of March. And what are we looking at? How are we scoring these? We're looking for those who have a unique vision. How do they look at the world? What's their perspective and how do we get on board? Is it compelling? What's the tech? Is it novel? Is it not? Is it building on an existing solution, but in a really, really interesting way? What's the traction? Do they have users? Do they have revenue? Do they have technical progress? Do they have customer validation? Is this a massive improvement? Can it beat the status quo? Can it make people change behavior? And who is on the team? Are they solo? Are there people around them? Are they a second-time founder? Do they have significant experience in this industry? Do they have a unique connection to the problem that allows them to see things differently? Or are they just hyper ambitious and no one can get in their way? They're going to solve this no matter what happens in the world. We score you on each of those 5 criteria. And if you're sitting here thinking, my gosh, I just don't know how I can compare or be rated to those because I don't have any traction, or I don't see my vision as unique, come along to our Idea Workshop series because we map our workshops to the questions asked in the Pre-Accelerator application form, which means every workshop you attend, you get greater insight into how we are assessing you, but also how you can do a small amount of work to make sure that your application shines. So we'll communicate to you what traction is. What does that mean? Because it's not just money in the bank. That's one small form. There's so much more. We look at what's massive improvement, what's status quo, how do you beat that, and how do you communicate that in an application that you can beat that? How do you describe your team? How do you acknowledge that there's gaps in your team? Because every team has gaps. And what is your plan to overcome those gaps? What is your tech? Is there an ensemble of solutions that are Frankenstein together to make sure that this thing works? How do you communicate that? How do you use that well? How do you use it effectively? All of this is explained in a step-by-step process within each idea workshop that happens from 4 till 6, so for 2 hours in an afternoon each week during the Apps Open campaign. Someone's asked, just back to the Q&A, what about my IP? Does Uni make any claim or have any restrictions or expectations? That is timely. I'll get to that in just a second. So our key dates, the application's closed 30th of March. And we'll take some time, about a week, to make selection. At the end of that next week, we will go out to all people selected and you will have a couple of weeks to submit back your paperwork. Because on the 28th of April, which is a Wednesday, we will kick off week 1 of the program here in Newcastle. And then the day after, the 29th of April, which is a Thursday, we will kick off that same content, that same immersion day in Gosford. And we will run for 10 weeks until the 3rd of July, which is a Thursday, which is our last day for our Gosford cohort. The accelerator will run from August through to November. So it will run for 13 weeks. And it will culminate in a demo night on the 29th of October here on the ground floor of the I2N Hub at Honeysuckle, where you'll get up in front of 150 plus people in the room to hear you and to hear about what you've achieved in the accelerator program and potentially help you, be them customers, partners, people who can connect you to where you need to be, hires, investors, all those people are in the room. And then you work with us for the next 6 months from December till June 2026 in our mentor program based in our hub. You get desk, mailing slots, mailing address, mentors, all of a massive community of founders surrounding you, all here to help you succeed. The IP, this is the IP question. The University of Newcastle makes no claim over the intellectual property generated by participants as part of the Pre-Accelerator program, subject to the university's IP policy and procedure, provided your use of the IP acknowledges that the IP was developed as part of the Pre-Accelerator program, unless it is unreasonable to do so. What that means is, and I'll explain it a bit more, if you are coming to us with no affiliation to the uni, where you've created this IP off your own back in your own time, and we're helping you improve that, we make no claim, which is the vast majority of people. However, if you're an employee of the university, maybe you're a professional staff member, maybe you're a researcher, and you've developed this IP in your job at the university, then you must consult the university's IP policy and procedure to understand where you sit in that ownership situation. So if a team member is an employee or a student of the university, they agree and acknowledge that the ownership of the IP will be in accordance with the IP policy and procedure as amended from time to time. And if you request assistance from the University of Newcastle to commercialise the IP on your behalf, noting that we must note that the university is entitled to recover the costs of any assistance. That may or may not make sense to you, but essentially, if you're coming to us with no affiliation, we won't make any claim. We're here to help you. But if you're an employee or a student or a team member someone on your team is an employee or a student, there may be implications for our IP policy and procedure to kick in which case there is a negotiation. But typically, you are very aware of how that works. And if you are not affiliated, you have nothing to worry about. If you have any questions that doesn't make sense, book time in my calendar. We can go through it in depth a little more. Mysour's asked, does every member of the team have to be present at the session, or can there be one representative of the Pre-Accelerator program? That is a fantastic question. It can just be one representative of the team. So maybe 1 week's content is way more applicable to you versus your team member, or vice versa. Totally fine for you to work that out. Just make sure that the right person is taking part in your coaching session with your entrepreneur in residence. Any more questions, throw them in the Q&A. Here's the URL to the program. I'm just going to stop sharing and keep working through these questions. Amy has asked, how many applications for the Pre-Accelerator do you imagine you'll receive? The Pre-Accelerator every year is very competitive because we always have more than double, well over double than we actually need every year. So the suggestion, the advice we give to people is please take part in the idea workshops, or at the very least, book a call with me so that we can discuss where you're at and what your next best steps are. Not everyone can make it to the workshops. Totally understood, but we can give you some actionable advice early on and well before March the 30th, so 6 to 7 weeks to go, that help you make sure that your application shines. But the idea workshops are designed in such a way that makes sure you can answer every single question really, really well. And Kellen's replying to that. So when it comes to the IP, just come and chat with us. Any other questions? Noting we have just 5 minutes left in the call. I'm going to hang around, but I want to give a huge thank you to everyone on this call. Thank you for making time to come see us at the information session, to tune in, to ask questions. If you have anything else come up, come see me at an idea workshop, come have a chat, or just come and email or book a time in my calendar. We'd love to help. We'd love to see as many applications as possible to make this Pre-Accelerator the most high value cohort we can have. The more people in the room, the better for you, because you just learn from so many different people. The community effect, you can't, what's the word? You can't undervalue just how important a community of people around a founder is, because as the video mentioned, it can get lonely, and we surround you with people that you need, be them facilitators, other founders, your coach, or your mentor. Any other questions before we jump off? Okay, I'm going to leave everyone to go. Thank you so much again. I'll hang on the call for the next couple of minutes for those last minute questions should they come up. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you at the idea workshops, receiving your application as part of the Pre-Accelerator, and seeing you in the room with us in April. Thank you so much, everybody.